Hello and welcome to my channel, your go-to source for the latest in WWE 24. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for all the updates. Let's dive right in.
WWE Chief Content Officer Triple H officially welcomed a former A-star to the roster. The popular performer in question made his debut at the Elimination Chamber Premium Live event. Before the men's Elimination Chamber match, General Managers Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis opened the mystery box that arrived on Raw a couple of weeks ago. To the surprise of the fans in attendance, former A-star Danhausen showed up alongside women with corpse paint, making his WWE debut. Earlier today, Triple H took to X, formerly Twitter, to post a backstage picture of himself standing next to Danhausen and pointing his index finger at the 35-year-old. He also wrote a short welcome message for "Very nice, very evil." The Cerebral Assassin's tweet caught the attention of Danhausen. The recently signed star quote tweeted the post and noted iconic lyrics of Triple H's entrance music with his little spin on it. "It's time to play the game, Hausen," Danhausen wrote. After showing up at WWE Elimination Chamber, Danhausen made his Raw debut last night. He confronted Adam Pearce backstage to make some demands. The general manager introduced the newly signed star to the Judgment Day and took off. Danhausen greeted Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio and pretended that he did not know JD McDonough's name. He tried to touch the WWE Intercontinental Championship, only for Dirty Dom to warn him if he didn't stay away, bad things would happen to him. Danhausen got offended after hearing the threat and cursed Mysterio in retaliation. Triple H commented on Danhausen's WWE debut. While speaking to Jackie Redmond on the Elimination Chamber post-show, Triple H addressed Danhausen's debut. The Game pointed out that on his way to the squared circle, Danhausen handed veteran commentator Michael Cole his iconic jar of teeth. He further expressed his excitement about the former A-star's future in the company. Commenting on the crate and Danhausen, "Michael Cole got a nice bucket of teeth. I think we're in for a fun time. Whatever it is gonna be a blast," he said. Only time will tell what creative plans the Stamford-based wrestling promotion has in store for Danhausen going forward. The world of professional wrestling thrives on moments that feel larger than life, moments where reality and storyline blur, and fans are left wondering what's truly happening behind the curtain. One such moment recently sent shockwaves through the industry when Triple H officially welcomed a former A-star into WWE, only to receive a response that no one quite expected. This wasn't just another signing announcement. It wasn't a routine welcome to the company handshake and photo op. Instead, it unfolded like a carefully layered story, one that combined respect, tension, and just enough unpredictability to keep fans glued to their screens. A new chapter begins. Over the past few years, the rivalry between WWE and All Elite Wrestling has been one of the most talked about dynamics in sports entertainment. While competition has always existed in wrestling, this modern-day clash has brought back a sense of excitement reminiscent of the Monday Night Wars. So when news broke that a notable talent had officially signed with WWE, it immediately captured attention. Fans speculated for weeks, some even months, about who might jump ship next. Would it be a rising star looking for a bigger spotlight? A veteran seeking one last defining run? Or someone with unfinished business in WWE? The answer, when revealed, did not disappoint. Triple H, WWE's chief content officer and one of the most influential figures in modern wrestling, took center stage to personally welcome the former standout. The moment carried weight, not just because of who he is, but because of what he represents. Since taking creative control, Triple H has built a reputation for valuing in-ring storytelling, long-term booking, and giving talent the freedom to redefine themselves. His involvement in this signing made it clear, this wasn't just a roster addition. It was a statement. The welcome that meant more. When Triple H addressed the WWE Universe, his tone was measured but confident. He spoke about opportunity, evolution, and the ever-changing nature of the wrestling business. He didn't take shots at him. He didn't frame it as a victory. Instead, he presented it as growth, for both the performer and the industry. That alone stood out. In the past, transitions between major promotions were often framed with subtle jabs or competitive undertones. But this felt different. It felt like an acknowledgement that wrestling, at its core, is bigger than any one company. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. The former A-star made their entrance. The reaction was electric. Fans erupted, some in cheers, some in shock, and some in a mix of both. The performer carried themselves with confidence, walking into WWE not as an outsider, but as someone who knew exactly what they were bringing to the table. Triple H extended a symbolic welcome. And that's when things took a turn. A response no one expected. Instead of the usual gratitude-filled speech or emotional acknowledgement, the newly signed star responded in a way that immediately sparked conversation. It wasn't disrespectful, but it wasn't entirely respectful either. There was an edge. A tension. A sense that this wasn't going to be a smooth transition. The star acknowledged Triple H, but made it clear they weren't here to simply fit in. They weren't here to follow a script or fall in line. They were here to disrupt, to challenge, and to prove that their journey through it had made them something entirely different. Something dangerous. That response did more than just surprise Triple H, it energized the entire audience. Because suddenly, this wasn't just a debut. It was the beginning of a conflict. Blurring the lines between reality and storyline. One of the most compelling aspects of this moment was how real it felt. In today's wrestling landscape, fans are more informed than ever. They know about contracts, backstage politics, and creative decisions. That means it's harder to create moments that feel authentic. But this exchange? It hit differently. Was the tension real? Was the response scripted? Or was it a blend of both? That ambiguity is what made it special. Triple H, a master of storytelling, didn't interrupt. He didn't escalate. Instead, he allowed the moment to breathe. He stepped back, both literally and figuratively, letting the new arrival define themselves on their own terms. That decision spoke volumes. The influence. The former star didn't shy away from referencing their past. Without directly naming All Elite Wrestling in a confrontational way, they made it clear that their time there had shaped them. They talked about proving themselves on a different stage, about fighting for recognition, and about building a reputation that couldn't be ignored. It was a subtle but powerful reminder, this wasn't a rookie stepping into WWE. This was someone who had already been tested. Someone who had already thrived. And now, they were bringing that experience into a new arena. Triple H's silent reaction. Perhaps the most intriguing part of the entire segment was Triple H's reaction, or lack thereof. He didn't argue. He didn't assert authority. He didn't try to win the exchange. Instead, he smiled. Not a friendly smile. Not an amused one. But the kind of smile that suggested he saw something bigger unfolding. Triple H has always been known for playing the long game. Whether as a performer or an executive, he understands that the most compelling stories aren't told in a single segment, they're built over time. By allowing the new star to speak freely, and even challenge the status quo, he may have set the stage for something much larger. Fan reactions pour in. Within minutes, social media exploded. Fans debated every word, every gesture, every facial expression. Some praised the new star for their confidence, calling it a refreshing change from the usual debut formula. Others questioned whether challenging Triple H so openly was a wise move. But one thing was clear. People were talking. And in wrestling, that's everything. The segment quickly trended across platforms, with clips being shared, analyzed, and dissected from every angle. Even those who hadn't been following closely found themselves drawn into the conversation. What this means for WWE. This moment could signal a shift in how WWE introduces new talent, especially those coming from rival promotions. Instead of presenting them as newcomers who need to prove themselves, WWE may be embracing the idea that these performers arrive with their own legacy, their own identity, their own voice. And by allowing that voice to be heard, unfiltered and unapologetic, WWE adds a layer of realism that resonates with modern audiences. Triple H's approach seems to reflect a deeper understanding of today's fans. He knows they want authenticity. They want unpredictability. They want moments that feel real. And this delivered exactly that. The road ahead. The biggest question now is, what happens next? Will this new star align with Triple H's vision for WWE? Or will they continue to push boundaries, potentially putting themselves at odds with the very system they've just entered? Could this lead to rivalries with top WWE superstars? Or even a larger storyline that explores the tension between WWE and its talent? The possibilities are endless. And that's what makes this moment so exciting. A defining moment in modern wrestling. In many ways, this wasn't just about one signing or one segment. It was about evolution. It was about recognizing that the wrestling world has changed, and adapting to that change in a way that enhances storytelling rather than limiting it. Triple H's decision to welcome a former A-star, and the star's bold response, created a moment that will be remembered for a long time. Because it wasn't predictable. It wasn't safe. It wasn't ordinary. It was real. Final thoughts. Professional wrestling is at its best when it captures the imagination, when it creates moments that feel unpredictable, emotional, and larger than life. This was one of those moments. Triple H didn't just welcome a new star. He opened the door to a new kind of storytelling. And the former A-talent didn't just walk through that door. They kicked it open. What happens next could redefine not only their career, but the direction of WWE itself. And if this moment is any indication, the future is going to be anything but boring.